Robert Louis Stevenson. Treasure Island. Chapter 19. Narrative resumed by Jim Hawkins. The garrison in the stockade. As soon as Ben Gunn saw the flag, he stopped, caught my arm, and sat down. "Now," he said, "those are your friends for sure." "Much more likely they are the mutineers," I answered. "That!" he cried. "Why, in a place like this, where only gentlemen of fortune come, Silver would fly the Jolly Roger, no doubt about that. No, those are your friends. There has been fighting, too, and I think your friends have won. And here they are, on land, in the old stockade, which was built many years ago by Flint. Ah, Flint was a clever man. Except for rum, no one could match him. He feared no one, not he. Only Silver. Silver was very smart." "Well," I said, "maybe you are right, and so it is. All the more reason for me to hurry and join my friends." "No, mate," said Ben. "Not you. You are a good boy, or I am wrong, but you are still only a boy. Now Ben Gunn is careful. Rum would not take me there where you are going, not even rum, until I see your real gentleman and get his word of honor. And you won't forget my words. A precious sight, that's what you'll say. A precious sight more confidence. And then you stop him." And he pinched me again with the same clever look. "And when Ben Gunn is needed, you know where to find him, Jim. Just where you found him today. And the man who comes must have a white thing in his hand, and he must come alone. Oh, and you will say this. Ben Gunn, you will say, has reasons of his own." "Well," I said, "I think I understand. You have something to suggest, and you want to see the squire or the doctor, and you can be found where I found you. Is that all? And when, you ask?" he added. "Well, from about noon to about 6 o'clock. "Good," I said. "And now may I go?" "You won't forget?" he asked nervously. "Precious sight, and reasons of his own, you say." "Reasons of his own. That is the most important thing between one man and another." "Well then," still holding me, "I think you can go, Jim. And Jim, if you see Silver, you won't tell him about Ben Gunn. Not even wild horses could make you tell. No, you say. And if those pirates stay on land, Jim, what would you say except that there will be widows in the morning?" At that moment he was interrupted by a loud shot, and a cannonball came crashing through the trees and landed in the sand less than 100 yards from where we were talking. The next moment, both of us ran away in different directions. For a good hour, loud explosions shook the island again and again, and cannonballs kept crashing through the woods. I moved from one hiding place to another. It felt as if these terrible shots were always following me. But near the end of the shooting, I still did not dare go toward the stockade, where most of the balls were falling. Still, I slowly began to feel braver. After a long way around to the east, I carefully moved down among the trees near the shore. The sun had just gone down. The sea wind was moving through the trees and making noise in the leaves. It also made small waves on the gray water in the bay. The tide was far out, and large areas of sand were uncovered. After the heat of the day, the air now felt cold through my jacket. The Hispaniola was still in the same place where she had anchored. But now there was the Jolly Roger, the black pirate flag, flying from the top. As I watched, there was another flash and another loud shot that echoed around. One more cannonball flew through the air. It was the last shot. I lay there for some time, watching what happened after the attack. Men were breaking something with axes on the beach near the stockade, the small boat, as I later learned. Far away, near the mouth of the river, a big fire was burning among the trees. Between that place and the ship, one of the small boats kept moving back and forth. The men, who had seemed so serious before, were now shouting as they rode, like children. But their voices sounded as if they had been drinking rum. At last, I thought I could return to the stockade. I was far out on the low sandy strip of land that closes the bay on the east side and connects to Skeleton Island when the tide is low. As I stood up, I saw, farther along the strip, a single rock rising from low bushes. It was quite tall and very white. I thought this might be the white rock that Ben Gunn had spoken about, and that one day I might need a boat and would know where to find one. Then I moved through the woods until I reached the back, or shore side, of the stockade. Soon I was warmly welcomed by my friends. I quickly told them my story, and then looked around me. The log house was built from rough pine tree trunks, roof, walls, and floor. The floor stood in some places about 1 foot or 1.5 feet above the sand. There was a small, covered space at the door. Under it, a little spring flowed into a strange kind of basin. It was actually a large iron ship's pot with the bottom removed and set down into the sand, as the captain said. Very little was left inside the house except the wooden frame. But in one corner there was a flat stone used as a fireplace, and an old rusty iron basket to hold the fire. The sides of the hill, and all the inside of the stockade, had been cleared of trees to build the house. We could see from the stumps that a tall and beautiful forest had once stood there. Most of the soil had been washed away or covered after the trees were removed. Only where the small stream ran from the kettle was there still some green moss, ferns, and small creeping plants among the sand. Very close around the stockade, too close for defense, they said, the forest still grew thick and tall. On the land side there were mostly fir trees, but towards the sea there were also many live oaks. The cold evening wind I mentioned before blew through every gap in the rough building. It covered the floor with a constant fall of fine sand. There was sand in our eyes, sand in our teeth, sand in our food, and sand even moving in the water at the bottom of the kettle, like porridge starting to boil. Our chimney was just a square hole in the roof. Only a small part of the smoke went out. The rest stayed inside, moving around the house and making us cough and our eyes water. On top of this, Gray, the new man, had his face wrapped in a bandage because of a cut he got when he escaped from the mutineers. And poor old Tom Redruth, still not buried, lay stiff and still along the wall under the Union Jack. If we had been allowed to sit and do nothing, we would all have become very sad. But Captain Smollett was not that kind of man. He called us all together and divided us into 2 groups. The doctor, Gray, and I were in one group. The squire, Hunter, and Joyce in the other. Although we were all tired, 2 men were sent to get firewood, 2 others to dig a grave for Redruth. The doctor was made cook. I was set to guard the door, and the captain himself moved from one man to another, keeping our spirits up and helping wherever needed. From time to time, the doctor came to the door to get some fresh air and rest his eyes, which were almost ruined by the smoke. Whenever he came, he spoke to me. "That man Smollett," he said once, "is a better man than I am. And when I say that, it means a lot, Jim." Another time he came and stood silent for a while. Then he tilted his head and looked at me. "Is this Ben Gunn a normal man?" he asked. "I don't know, sir," I said. "I'm not sure he is sane." "If there is any doubt, then he is sane," said the doctor. "A man who has spent 3 years alone on a desert island, Jim, cannot look as normal as you or me. That is just human nature." "Was it cheese you said he liked?" "Yes, sir, cheese," I answered. "Well, Jim," he said, "you see now the good of being careful about food. You have seen my snuff box, haven't you? and you have never seen me take snuff. The reason is that in my snuff box, I carry a piece of Parmesan cheese, a cheese from Italy, very nutritious. Well, that is for Ben Gunn. Before we ate supper, we buried old Tom in the sand. We stood around him for a while with our hats off in the wind. We had brought in a fair amount of firewood, but not enough for the captain. He shook his head and told us we must do this better tomorrow. Then, after we had eaten our pork and each had a strong glass of brandy grog, the three leaders sat together in a corner to talk about our situation. It seemed they did not know what to do. Our supplies were so low that we would have starved and been forced to give up long before help could arrive. But they decided that our best chance was to kill the pirates one by one until they either lowered their flag or sailed away with the Hispaniola. From 19 men, they were now down to 15. 2 more were wounded, and one at least, the man shot near the gun, was badly hurt, if not dead. Every time we had a chance to shoot at them, we should take it, but always be very careful to protect our own lives. And besides that, we had 2 strong helpers, rum and the climate. As for the first, even though we were about half a mile away, we could hear them shouting and singing late into the night. And as for the second, the doctor said he was sure that, living in the wet marsh and without medicine, half of them would be sick in less than a week. So, he added, if we are not all shot first, they will be happy to leave in the ship. It is still a ship, and they can return to piracy, I suppose. The first ship I have ever lost, said Captain Smollett. I was very tired, as you can imagine. When I finally fell asleep, after turning many times, I slept very deeply. The others had already woken up, eaten breakfast, and collected about half as much firewood again when I woke up because of noise and voices. "Flag of truce," I heard someone say. Then, right after that, with surprise, "Silver himself." At that, I jumped up, rubbed my eyes, and ran to a hole in the wall to look out.